Danny Kofke. Danny, you've been on with us before. You seem to be one of the more reasonable teachers. Look, we don't have any problem with teachers. We don't have any problem with you earning a great living. Go for it. Our problem is when the union misrepresents you. Do you think the teachers union represents your wants, desires, and needs?
Well, you know, I've been on your show before and I've discussed some of the cons against teacher unions and when they protect poor teachers. But in this case, I think you might be surprised, but I do kind of agree with the union because they are fighting for our salaries and our benefits. And the hard thing is, and I think the bigger issue here is the way teachers are paid. You know, I don't know personally with you, but you know, if your show does good, you might be able to go to your boss, Mr. Murdoch, and say, okay, my show's doing well, I have a lot of advertisements, and these are my goals for this year. If I meet them,
Danny,
yes.
Are you an economics teacher?
No, I'm not.
Clearly, my boss is a free marketeer. You guys are paid by the taxpayer.
I agree, I understand, but the hard thing is with me, I go and meet with my boss who is the principal, and let's say I have personal development goals, student achievement goals, and my students do really well. It doesn't matter. My principal does not have the power to give me a raise, so it does trickle down to where we need the unions to back us in order to fight for our
But what also
salaries.
trickles down, my friend, is higher wages, higher than the national average. You have job benefits. You work 9 months out of the year, my friend. You have great benefits. You have great pensions. You have great health care. You probably don't. Do you have a copay when you go to the doctor?
I have an HRA. I used to, but now I have a different insurance plan. But it's because I signed up for a different type of insurance plan. But you know, I did in the old one, yes.
Okay, and you did have a copay, or you did not?
Well, we have the option of doing an HRA plan instead of the PPG. So I mean, it just depends on what you pick.
How long have you been a teacher?
11. This is my 11th year.
So if you could retire right now, and you'd have a pretty nice pension and healthcare plan, right?
Actually, yes, I contribute 5%. It's automatic here. We have to contribute 5% of our pay into the teacher's retirement fund. And personally, as you know, someone that knows my finances, I'd rather do away with that and let me invest that money myself. But I guess that's for another story.
All right, hang in there, Danny. I want to bring it out to the panel. You're a great guy. Listen, I want these guys to do well. I don't begrudge teachers making an honest wage. It's when the union comes in and says, by the way, we want higher wages, we want more benefits. And if that causes problems, then go ahead and lay off some of our teachers. Doc.
Well, it's totally irrational. Having a monopoly in anything, I think, doesn't make any sense. And I think that people should be able to vote with their feet. These unions have handed us underperforming teachers because they've insisted on tenure. These unions have handed us people who don't train our students to the excellent standards that we would hope for. We have a crisis in education. These aren't superstars. America's teachers, listen, I'm not running for anything. It's a failed system. We're not doing well, and it's a part-time job. They're done at 2:30 in the afternoon, and they don't work summers.
Before you jump in, Danny, I know you want to jump in on that one, but go ahead, Juan.
Well, I think that the job doesn't end at 2:30. I mean, they're doing homework.
Oh, please.
Oh, they
My
are.
mom was a teacher. I was shopping with her at 3.
I'm telling you,
Down at the
that's
mall.
not my experience.
Down
But
at
let me just say
Marshall's,
this.
Loman.
I'm very disappointed in America's teachers unions because I think they're at the heart of the corruption that is poor quality public schools in America, particularly for our minority children.
Absolutely.
And for our poor children of all colors. It's an abysmal situation. But when you say to Danny that somehow Danny is wrong, Danny's not wrong. If Danny is doing a good job as a teacher, I want Danny well paid.
What I said to
I
Danny
want Danny
was,
rewarded.
you can't compare Mr. Murdoch paying me more if my show is
No, but Danny was,
advertising.
no, you were mocking Danny.
You were mocking Danny. More money.
Of course it is. The union says if you are, and the problem is the union says if you're first in, you're first out, or whatever, last in, first out. That's wrong because they're not looking at quality. We should look at quality teachers.
Monica, Governor Walker wants to negotiate with the union so he doesn't have to send out the whatever it is, 5,000, 1,500, 2,000, 5,000 pay slips.
And lay them off by next week, actually. Look, this is why the system is so corrupt, because essentially the unions sit on both sides of the bargaining table. They give money, unions collect dues from their members, like Danny. They contribute mostly to Democrats. Democrats get in office, and then in return, those Democrats, whether they're governors or state legislators, go and negotiate with the unions that put them in office and negotiate these huge packages. And now these states can no longer support these massive, massive payouts. It's fiscally unsustainable. The states are broke.
Danny, what about that? What about the teachers? The newly hired teachers, if there's cutbacks, those are the first ones to go. They're probably young teachers with families and whatnot. But that seems to be okay.
Oh, it's not okay. I think it's horrible, and this
Well, what
is
do you do?
where I'm coming back.
If the money's not there, what do you want your governor to do?
I would recommend that we pay our teachers based on performance.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the thing. When it's just based on how many years you put into the system, that is wrong. Because a lot of times, those beginning teachers, I'm not trying to criticize, veteran teachers as well, because some are very dynamic. But when you have someone that's been in the classroom 3 or 4 years, a lot of them have a lot of high energy. They're not stuck in their ways. They're ready to do innovative lessons. And this is the problem, that when we protect, and I think this is the whole crux of it, if every teacher was dynamic, if parents came home and their students were learning, no one would have a problem with paying teachers more money. But when you have a parent that gets a bad teacher, and we've heard all the horror stories about them, that's when there's a problem. And then people say, oh, you guys have summers off, you have this and you have that.
Yes.
If every teacher or most were dynamic and every student was making a lot of growth, no one would say that, because they would say, you know what, you guys work hard, you're raising the future of our country,
Yeah,
you're doing a great job.
Danny, we're going to have to leave it there. I think a lot of us agree with you. Stop with the last in, first out. Thanks a lot, Danny Kofke.